Yes, guys, welcome back to another podcast. It is myself and the main man, Mark. And we also have hedge fund owner, one of the youngest in the
Hey,
country as well, Mr. Drew.
Mr.
How are
Drew.
you?
Guys,
Welcome, Drew. Obviously, it has been heavily requested that you do come back. So it looks like you're now a permanent member of here, whether you like it or not. I'm happy to have you on here every single week. And it is a great pleasure always working with yourself, behind the scenes and on the face of things as well. Always a great pleasure having yourself, Drew, with us, and the viewers love it as well.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Introducing Capital Convos.
So it is episode 8. I can't believe we've actually done 8 episodes now. It feels like, so many less. It feels like we're only on like the 5th one. Feels like yesterday when we started this thing, but as time grows along, we are getting a lot more viewers, a lot more shares, and a lot more requests on different topics as well. So we're going to go straight into it. A lot has been happening, especially in the crypto world. And the first thing I wanted to talk about, and this was also sent in by a viewer as well, is the recent BTC pump, which is a Bitcoin pump that has been taking place. Is it, just a fake pump? Is it just because of Elon Musk? What are they doing in terms of Tesla? Well, I'll quickly give you my views on this anyway, and then I'll pass it on to Drew and Mark. So what has been happening over the last, let's say, month and a half is Bitcoin has been going up pretty much non-stop. Now, I personally believe it is all based on fundamentals and technicals, and this isn't just a fake pump. And the reason why I say that it's not just a fake pump is because Elon Musk is not the only billionaire involved in the Bitcoin space. There's multiple people out there that are way bigger than him. For instance, at the moment, he's one of the richest people in the world. But there are people who are richer than him who aren't even on the rich person list. For instance, Vladimir Putin. Does anybody know that he has one of the largest wallets in the world? Of course not. Yeah. So if somebody could move the markets in terms of crypto, Vladimir Putin would be one of them. Yeah. He's got a very, very large crypto portfolio. In fact, mainly Bitcoin. Obviously, everyone here can guess the reasons why Russia invests so much in Bitcoin in the first place. There's multiple conspiracy theories out there, but I can tell you straight away, they do a lot of dealings on the black market anyway. So obviously, the black market's main crypto or main currency for payment and form of payment is Bitcoin. Yeah. The reason why for that is because it is anonymous form of payment. Yeah. It goes around the world. Nobody knows who has sent that money. As long as it lands in the right place, yeah, they're able to pay for something that, nobody can track. So I can understand, why they use it as a anonymous form of payment to pay for goods and services, on the black market. It can be used, in the open market as well. And slowly we are coming to that age where things are starting to be used in terms of crypto on a worldwide scale, so more openly. So Elon Musk also mentioned that he would start accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment, in Tesla cars, which is absolutely amazing. Tesla cars are one of the best electric cars out there. They are crazy. Yeah, especially the Tesla Model S performance pack. Wow, that car has like 800 and something bhp as stock. Yeah, and goes from 0 to 60 in like 2.2 seconds, which is crazy figures, coming to think of it. And for something electric that doesn't even make a noise is crazy. Like the other day, I raced off the line with a Porsche Taycan Turbo. Yeah. And it ripped me off the line. Yeah, it ripped me off the line, and it didn't make a single noise. And I was still behind him, making all these noises. Yeah, and he's right ahead of me silently. Yeah, so it is crazy. The world of technology is moving forward, and the quicker we grasp the new technology that has come into place, the quicker that we can adapt to these kind of world situations that is coming across us. So, one of the things that we will talk about later on is something to do with banking rates as well. Which I will, we will dwell upon in the next few topics anyway. But what do you guys think of the BTC pump, for instance, for Drew? I personally, like I said, I think it's technical. I think it is, it is this price because it is worth this price. And, a lot of people have invested into it. It's not just that, but the difficulty in terms of mining now is higher than ever before. So the demand for it is really high. The supply is very small, very limited. So there is no other choice but for it to be going up in value. So, I'll hand it over to Drew and he'll give you his insights into the BTC pump recently.
Yeah, so with regards to Bitcoin, I believe that there's two ways to look at this. And I agree with the two sort of opinions, that's been presented to the market. If you look at from this recent Elon Musk sort of pump, if you like, they've made more off Bitcoin as a business than they did in 10 years of selling their cars. So to look at it from that angle, which they probably did, I don't know when their initial investment in Bitcoin was, but it's a lot quicker, the revenue that they've made and the turnover than they did in 10 years of selling cars, put it that way, right? So you can look at it from a stance that, he's only announced the 1.5 billion investment into Bitcoin to pump it and to make a bit of money on it, et cetera, et cetera. Then the counter argument to that is they're also accepting it as a form of payment. So they're not just stepping forward and saying, here's our 1.5 billion Bitcoin, rocket in price, and then liquidating their positions. And that'd be very hard to do, believe me. But it's more so from a stance now that they're saying, look, we believe in this. We're going to hold it as an asset. We're also going to accumulate it through receiving it as a form of payment. And on the back of that, Apple have stepped forward and said, look, we're looking and thinking of putting it into our Apple wallets and things like this, and as a form of payment in the next they've said below 5 years. So to look at it from that stance, you can say that it was pumped from a let's make a bit of profit stance. Let's announce our investment in it. But B, the counter argument to that is actually they're looking at a sustainable form of dealing with capital. So that is pushing it towards the more mainstream view. And, Bitcoin, as we've spoken in the last episode, 5, 6, 7, whatnot, that wide and mainstream adoption is coming into play now. The likes of Elon Musk, who's leading, the electric car and that sort of tech industry wise. Someone like him step forward and say, look, I support it. You get the older generation people looking at it then and going, okay, right, if a man of his stature and his, the magnitude he has on and the impact he has on markets and business on a whole and how things evolve and develop over time, to have a guy like him step forward and say, look, I support this, really turns a lot more heads towards this asset than your new gens and things like this, right? So this is where the sort of wide adoption starts to get interesting. What will be, make or break of it is how price action and how this asset now performs for the next 12 months, I believe, will dictate, is this an asset that we can consider viable and consider something that we can introduce into, like we say, Apple, Tesla, and bigger companies, or will it remain as volatile as it has been? For me, looking at current price action on it, it's parabolic. So it's going up in one direction. There's no significant pullbacks in it. There's no characteristics like you have let's just say like a pump, then a consolidation or a correction or stuff like this. None of that's happened at the minute. It's just more being, it's just uptrending and it's just parabolic. So we need to see some sort of leveling out of it and some sort of mean average of what this actual coin is worth, rather than it just pumping. And from there, then people just like it happens with gold now, you can say, well, the average price of this based upon X amount of data or based upon X amount of years in price action, So we just need to give it time, first of all. But it's a great indication for the future that Tesla have stepped forward and Apple are stepping forward. And you can't deny that this looks promising. It does look promising. What we can do now, though, is just sit down, have a look at it, and just see how this asset performs over 12 months. But for me, I am bullish on this long term, and I mentioned this in a sort of talk I did a couple of hours ago. Funny enough, I mentioned that if this is a asset that's going to be widely adopted now, we have to see some sort of structure in place with it, some sort of acceptance, some sort of reliability, not just this whole sort of media traction to it. This needs to be, as hard as it is, calm the buzz down and accept it for what it is and accept the actual reality of it, rather than it being this sort of phase of oh my God, Bitcoin, So I'm bullish on this long term. And when I say I'm bullish, I'm saying long term, 10 years from now, I am seeing this as an asset that I'm expecting to appreciate, not at the rate it is at the minute. I want to see more of a sustainable appreciation on it. But yeah, for me, great news for Bitcoin. Great that it's being widely adopted. And let's hope for the best for Bitcoin and all the early investors get a tap on the back, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Totally, absolutely. I agree as well. I believe, as long as, the thing is, look, the technology started of blockchain from Bitcoin. Yeah. Every other cryptocurrency that follows on from that is just another version of the original blockchain technology that was created from Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin was created, it wasn't just the Bitcoin that was created, it was the blockchain technology that was created. That was the main, genius idea behind Bitcoin in the first place. And from then onwards, everybody else has gone along and made their own coin based on that same technology. Yeah, maybe a bit better, maybe a bit faster. Obviously, Bitcoin is like, the first kind of phones, like a Nokia phone, for instance. Yeah, nowadays we have iPhones and Samsungs and Androids. Obviously, they're way more developed, compared to the Nokias that we used to get back in the day. Yeah, but it all started from that first concept of mobile phone calls in the first place. Yeah, you can make mobile phone calls without having to connect to a wall, for instance. Yeah, or obviously half our phones are on charge all the time anyway, but you know where I'm coming from. So Mark, yeah, what do you think about the BTC pump and Tesla's influence on it?
I'm pretty much in agreement with both of you. Obviously, we got to think long term, and we got to think what the fundamental value of Bitcoin is, and where it is right now. I'd say it's reasonably cheap in comparison to where it can be. But you have to think long term. So if you are investing in it now, you're still relatively early in its stage. I'd say personally, what do you think? I'd say relatively early-ish. But yeah, I personally would just wait for the dip, and it will go a lot higher after that. In terms of like Tesla, it's very good news for Bitcoin, because obviously you had a lot of doubters when it first came out. Back in 2009, I think, when it was, a lot of people were doubting, what's the point of this coin? Like with Ripple and Ethereum, like what is the actual point? So when phones came out, like nobody's ever going to use this, or the television, nobody's going to sit in front of a TV. No one's going to buy television. Now pretty much every household in the majority of the world has a TV. The same thing with like Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and like Ripple and Ethereum. It's the same concept. It may seem alien at first, but we are kind of in the transition now of it becoming more mainstream and into our eyes, kind of thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sorry to jump in there. I absolutely I have to jump in and agree with you there, because the adoption of it is the hardest bit behind all of this. We can't deny the fact that it has a value, like it has a use. And in any business you launch, globally, if you're answering a problem, you'll make money. And that's exactly what Bitcoin's doing. And some for the good and some for the bad, but it answers problems. So that's the value. So yeah, sort of throw it back to you there. But the mainstream adoption of it is the hardest bit behind all of this. And having people like Tesla and Apple step forward and partially putting their reputation on the line by saying, we back this, that is what's going to turn the heads of, CEOs that we never even heard of, but they have billions of cash and assets sat there, and they're thinking, well, if people like that are doing it, why aren't we holding maybe 0.5% of our portfolio, or our business that we've got cash and assets? Why aren't we devoting 0.5% of our capital to it? But when there's people saying 0.5% turns out to be 2 billion and stuff like this, right? That's the people that we want to start turning heads.
Yeah, I totally agree there as well. Bitcoin is not just an asset, like we were saying, and like you said, Bitcoin isn't just an asset. It is, a form of technology, and as long as the adoption comes along, which it has slowly been happening, and any, like Drew mentioned as well, any kind of problem that you solve, you will get paid. Every kind, just like Elon Musk was the creator of PayPal, for instance, and that literally solved so many problems when it came to cross-border payments. You can now send a payment to anyone in the world as long as they have a PayPal account. It doesn't matter where they are. You could send them money, and it will convert to their local currency, They will receive it in their local currency, whatever account they have opened on their side. If they've opened a New Zealand account, a New Zealand dollar account when they first opened their PayPal account, money will automatically be transferred from pounds to New Zealand dollars and land in their account. Yeah. So, this is basically a step forward for that. But because of the technology behind it, the blockchain, is verified. Yeah. So a lot of verified transactions do take place, which does kind of cut out the use for accountants. So could we see the days where accountants' jobs are even, at risk? It possibly is true, and that is what XRP were actually building as well. They were building a system where nobody needs to verify anything. The technology behind it, the building blocks of the blockchain, because a transaction cannot be reversed, it cannot be changed, it can't even be fraudulently, attacked in any way once that block is closed. And it's a block of transactions. That is why it's called a blockchain. Once those block of transactions happen, they are closed and they are locked away forever into the system. So nobody can go back and change them. You can go back and look at the records, no problem. You can still even go back and look at the records of transactions that take place today in the Bitcoin network. You don't know who it is, who's who, because it's all a bunch of numbers and letters, but you can still openly see it on the open ledger. And that is what XRP were helping the banking system doing, stopping fraudulent activities from taking place, decreasing the time to verify, somebody's tax, for instance. It would speed up. Your tax will automatically now be calculated every transaction you make. You will know where it's from, who it's from, and where it's going after that. Or where that transaction had come from, where that money had come from, where that money had come from, and it'll track it back like 5, 6, 7, 10 times if it has to. Which is a very, very good way of tracking money. But then this brings Bitcoin back into it. Some people don't want to be tracked. Hence why the anonymous form of payments is better towards them. There's some payments that all of us make that nobody needs to know about. Do you understand where I'm coming from? The bank doesn't need to know that I'm giving my mum, for instance, £500. Where that money came from. It doesn't matter. I'm gifting that to my own mother, for God's sake. Do you get where I'm coming from? There's no questions need to be asked there. Family is family. If I want to gift her £500, I should be able to without a single question asked. And the same with multiple things out there. So it goes hand in hand. One is solving a problem, and one, like XRP is going to be solving the banking problem, and Bitcoin is currently still solving the problem of anonymous payments, and it seems to be working so far.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll just chuck in a funny story here about Lily Allen. I don't know if any of you heard the story. So back in 2013, Lily Allen got offered 100,000 Bitcoins.
Oh, I heard about it,
100,000 Bitcoins to perform one show, which was like 2.5 hours. She declined it and took the sterling value of it. And if she took that today, she would have been a billionaire. And just goes to show, the amount of naysayers that were there, and the amount of even people of, celebrities and stuff that were getting offered this asset and this coin that they had no idea about. And just because it was drilled into their head that that's it's not confirmed by banks and whatnot. You can understand the doubt there, but just goes to show those that are willing, fortune favors the brave, those that were willing to say, do you know what, actually, I will accept a bit of this Bitcoin as a payment. All right, I'm not getting the sterling for it, but there'll be other shows. I'll make my money elsewhere. What's wrong with taking one form of payment in this asset that, I'll take a punt on? If she did that today, she'd be a billionaire. And it just goes to show that now, I guarantee you, if anyone offered, Drake or someone 100,000 Bitcoins to perform, they would snap their fingers at it and say, yeah, bring it here.
100%. I totally agree with that as well. Mark, what do you think of Tesla's pump in terms of Elon and, what he's been issuing on Twitter? He's made a name on Twitter recently as well.
Yeah, just Doge, the meme coin.
Yeah.
I mentioned it in the previous episodes about there's like no fundamental value behind like what Doge is. Like, with Bitcoin, like you use it for anonymous payments and it's relatively quick. XRP as well, same thing. But Doge just has no like value. Like there's so much supply, but the demand is crazy just because Elon Musk just types Doge, and then that pumps like 20% in that day. That's just crazy. All he needs to do now is just say XRP, and then that will just pump. But yeah, like there's literally no value. I'm seeing it everywhere as well. Like whenever you hear, like the thing I always tell people is whenever you hear all over social media, buy a certain thing. Like you heard GME, buy GME is going to the moon, and now it's back down to its fundamental value at where it's at now. Like that stock should not have been $400 a share, but now it's at its fundamental value, which is like $50, $40 per share, maybe even lower than that, because obviously it's selling off and it's getting bust. It's like Blockbuster. But yeah, Doge has so much supply. Like think of it, it's demand and supply. When there's little supply but so much demand, like Bitcoin, it goes up. But when there's so much supply and very little demand or high demand, the supply won't outweigh it. But for some reason, Doge is just flying for literally no reason.
Absolutely, and I believe give credit where credit's due. What a play from Elon. So by circulating, yeah,
I give it to him, man. I give it to him. Definitely.
So essentially, the way I've interpreted it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but by creating such traction to one coin and having it pumped, then withdrawing your profits, for example, then putting it into Bitcoin at like 1.5 billion. That was just a play to find some capital to then play on. And basically, he's made an absolute gem out of nothing. And to be able, and it is questionable that you have that much power over a market, and that's why he's being looked into. Put it this way, if I was Elon, I would have done that probably 10 times more powerful and 10 times more riskier. And I would have said, bring on the lawsuits, because look what he's done now. And look at the following he's built from it, purely from the crypto sector. And people that are following him from the crypto sector now. And you've got to understand, what's his agenda with this Bitcoin? Of course, it's A, it's an investment, and B, they're accepting it as a form of payment. But C, the biggest agenda behind this, and the thing that people aren't seeing, is this is major publicity for Tesla. Major publicity. So now that old saying that you follow money, so where you'd like to get your business sort of, you like to get eyes on your business, where people's eyes are and where money's flowing to, you follow with, and you get the attraction on you. So what he's done is he's sat back and gone, okay, crypto's booming. I'm going to find this coin that's worth nothing, pump that. Everyone's going to go, wow, what a genius. I'm going to withdraw, put it into Bitcoin, announce that I'm in Bitcoin, but I'm going to tarnish it with my brand, Tesla. By doing that, then all eyes are on your business. Yeah. Now, everyone that starts making money from Dogecoin, everyone starts making money from Bitcoin, are going to see him and go, I'm buying those cars. That's even if it's a thank you, thanks for sorting out that 100 grand. I'm going to put 30 into one of your cars. Plus, it's an awesome car. Like I had said earlier, all the spec on it, all the tech on it and everything. What a great play. So not only will you see Bitcoin rise in profits or rise in value, and that Dogecoin or whatever, that'll settle. But although you're seeing Bitcoin rocket, Tesla will then also benefit off the back of this, and probably a lot more or a lot more beneficial in the next 24 months or 36 sort of months. You'll see this play happen. But this is all a great branding aspect. And what he's done is he's put two and two together. Where's the attention? How can I use a brilliant business that I have, put them both together, push them on the same boat, and fair play? What a genius.
Yeah, definitely. And I totally agree with you there as well. Doge, and I agree with Mark as well, Dogecoin, whatever you want to call it, Dogcoin, Doggy coin, yeah, Dodgy coin, whatever it's called, it hasn't got any proper form of infrastructure behind the company. It was basically a joke to start with, yeah, and then, they just built and built off the hype, and slowly they've been growing until suddenly Elon came across, found this coin, exactly what Mark said. I'm just repeating that. He came across this random coin, thought, okay, where can I grow my money, because currently Bitcoin is way too high right now. Yeah, I can't put all of my money into Bitcoin right now because I haven't got enough that I really actually want to buy. Yeah, or enough disposable money. So what can I do now? So he put money into Doge, pumped up the price by publicizing the hell out of it, pulled out his money about 8 times his investment in the first place, and then put it into something, long term that he is also invested into as well, including his company as well, which is Tesla. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I didn't see it first until what's the name? Drew mentioned this, but it actually is a very good marketing tactic, for Elon. And when it comes to marketing, he definitely knows what he's doing. Remember when he threw a metal ball at one of his windows of the Cybertruck and it broke.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that video went everywhere. What about when he lit up a spliff on the Joe Rogan podcast? Yeah, that video went everywhere. So he always wants to be talked about at all times. So, anytime you see a video of him, you would stop and listen to what that video has to say or read what that article has to say about him. Why? Because he is the kind of person who has basically clicked the fingers of marketing. He will always get you talking about him, regardless of whatever he is doing. And the more eyes on him, the better it is for all of his other income streams as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, the main point to take from this is, let's take Bitcoin out of the equation. Let's just say, let's just do a pathetic hypothetical example, right? Let's just say baguettes was the hype, right? Yeah. Just plain cheese baguettes was the hype, right? Everyone was like, right, buy cheese baguettes, for example. The value of these are going to rocket, blah, blah, blah. It's not Bitcoin that he's sort of jumped on. It just happens to be a very good asset that he can utilize long-term, et cetera, et cetera. But what he's actually done is he could have turned around and done the exact same marketing stunt by going, right, Tesla now supports the acceptance of cheese baguettes as a form of payment for cars. Now everyone would have gone, oh my, wow, Elon supports this, et cetera, et cetera. And he would have put Tesla as the face of it. So what he's done is taken something that's got massive amount of attention on it, massive amount of global sort of forums and this and that. And he's actually just gone, right, let's spin it on Tesla. And he's waited for all that to build up and then he's optimized on it. So it doesn't matter what it is, but it's just fortunate the fact that what he's done is used an asset that is full of value, is going to potentially appreciate massively over time. So he's going to double benefit from this. But the point of it being is, yes, he'll benefit from the actual asset itself, but nevertheless, he was always going to benefit internally in the brand and the business because he's played the marketing stunt perfectly. And he is a market leader. He is someone all of our ears listen out for his name, whether it's the news, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Insta. If I see something on him, I stop and I read it because he is the one that's ahead of everyone. So, as we said, what a genius. And I'm sure we'll see many plays like this, many plays, whether the next one will be, whether the SEC, we'll speak about XRP in the next topic coming up shortly. But if let's just say the SEC lose the case, I'm sure Elon will troll them or something like this, he will. And by that point, he's already holding $500 million XRP that no one knows about.
Yeah.
And this is the type of thing. It's just clever plays. And he'll play it on the fact of, no, this is an ethical, I'm freedom of speech sort of play. And he's completely in his right. But what a genius from a branding, marketing, business stance. What a play. And it's something we should all learn from.
Definitely. What do you reckon, Mark?
I didn't actually think about it until you mentioned it, but it's smart. It's like you see on Instagram when all these people get these flash cars and stuff, and then they do like a PR stunt and vandalize it. Same thing. Like you see a nice car, you see it all over Instagram. Oh my God, this guy just got his car trashed, when in reality he done it himself. You know what I mean? So yes, I didn't actually think about it like that. Smart. I didn't. Yeah,
as many people talking about you, even if it's negative or positive.
Yeah,
the more people are talking about you, the faster your name spreads around the world.
And the only reason I thought of it like that is there's always an agenda, right? There's always an agenda. I'm the same. If I'm going to make a move on some sort of investment or some sort of, I'm trying to, the people who sort of follow me on Instagram or anything like this, or the people that take my word, solid, they back what I say. There's always an agenda behind why I'm saying something, whether I think there's value in it, whether I think it's going to help their life, anything. There's always a reason as to why I will do something. I never just do something impulsively. I will always think things through. And as it, it's the same mindset with trading. I know the worst case scenario, if I say, okay, let's do this, or I believe this is going to happen, or this is my views, I know the downside or potential. I think I know the downside, and I know what it could help people or the upside. There's always an agenda to it. And that was the perfect agenda. It was just simple, very, very subtle branding. Because now if you Google Bitcoin, I guarantee the first 10 things that will come up, or on Google, if you Google Bitcoin, one of the first things that will come up is Tesla will be linked.
Yeah. And that's also going to boost the price of Tesla shares as well, because people are more talking about Tesla shares. People are automatically going to want to invest behind that company as well, seeing that their CEO has, got a lot of money to play with in the crypto markets, plus all the news coming out from Tesla as well. is all very, very positive. Especially he's going to be accepting another form of payment, which also means that's a good thing for the shareholders, because now people aren't just able to pay with dollars and pounds, they're also able to pay with another form of payment. So it's opened up another market to so many people who, have stacks of Bitcoin but don't have stacks of pounds and dollars behind them. So, it'll directly equal, in fact, more sales for the company, which, makes the company higher in value, which gives you more share price, which gives you higher dividends back in return. Everything is a ripple effect. And that goes on to the next topic, in fact, of XRP and the lawsuits. So what has been taking place in terms of lawsuits and XRP? Well, I personally have been a bit stagnant with XRP investing ever since, the lawsuit was announced. I haven't sold any of my XRPs at all whatsoever. I personally also haven't bought any more. But before that, I was constantly buying like daily. In fact, I was buying about 10 to 20 pounds a day, every single day. And I've been doing that for quite a few years now. So do the maths, I did accumulate quite a lot of coins, like a hell of a lot of coins in the hundreds of thousands. So until obviously the lawsuit had been announced, I stopped buying at that point. Didn't mean I was scared. Didn't mean, if I was scared, I would have sold everything on the spot. I still have a very good vision for XRP, especially because of the technology behind it. And that's another thing I want to give our viewers advice of, is anything you look to invest in, do your research in it properly, inside out. Don't invest in anything you don't know anything about. Just because somebody is telling you to, don't listen to them. Because, like myself, in fact, and Drew can be a witness of this as well. A lot of people were telling everyone there's going to be an XRP pump, and a lot of people did put money into it, and it ended up happening the other way, which, is fair enough. It's a bit unfortunate that it went the other way, but it is what it is. It is what it is. We win some, we lose some. But at the end of the day, as long as we do our proper research in things, and that is also why I don't really back Dogecoin either, because it doesn't have proper technology and a proper future, looking ahead. What they're planning to do in the future, it isn't very clear. Whereas with Bitcoin, it is openly clear on the white paper, in black and white. Same with Ethereum. It is openly clear, black and white, what the future of Ethereum is looking to do. And same with XRP. The future of XRP is looking very, very bright. And this just looks like a small hurdle in the process. So the main lawsuit is basically, and Drew will also, mention this heavily as well, is going back and forward with the XRP. With the SEC, XRP and SEC or Ripple Labs. Basically, they're not allowed to be openly selling a security that isn't regulated. But how is Bitcoin selling their coin completely unregulated across the whole world? Breaking barriers, breaking borders. It doesn't matter which country you're in, you should still be able to buy or sell some Bitcoin. But why is only XRP, being hammered for it? And I'm going to hand it over to Drew, in fact. What have you noticed, Drew?
So there's a few things I'll start off with. So the SEC have stated that XRP is security. Now, XRP have just point blank said, no, we're not. We're a crypto. So there's the first point, right? And XRP is sitting there saying, this is outside of your jurisdictions. Why are you stepping to us? Step to Ethereum, step to Bitcoin. Why are you coming at us with all this hate? So that's the first thing, because if you're going to go at one unregulated asset, you got to go at them all. That's the point. That is, otherwise you're singling someone out. And now, as we know, that's just bullying, right? Straight up. So XRP are going, right, if you want to come at us, come at everyone, okay? So by doing that, it's essentially saying that, or XRP are essentially saying, you've really got no leg to stand on, because it's outside your jurisdiction. You've got nothing to exactly pinpoint on us. You're saying that we're one thing. We're saying that we're another thing. Let's go to court then. So that's what's going to happen, right? Now, this the ex-employees of the SEC have stepped forward and said, an ex-director, board directors, et cetera, have stepped forward and said, do you know what? They haven't got a leg to stand on, meaning the SEC, right? So they've stepped forward and said, we used to work for this commission and whatnot. We're telling you that XRP are going to come out top on this, because for those exact reasons, they're saying you can't go at one unregulated crypto and not them all. So the fact that, and it brings a point back to, you've got the likes of big DAO companies and things like this accepting Bitcoin, companies that make up an economy, in essence, the tax they're paying and things like this, they're holding an economy up or contributing massively, like Tesla and Apple stepping forward saying, well, we're backing Bitcoin, which is near enough in the same boat as XRP, unregulated, et cetera, it makes you think then, well, if it was XRP in Bitcoin shoes and Bitcoin's in XRP shoes, so they switch vice versa, what would be different, Yeah. So, and there's nothing that they've not got a leg to stand on. I believe it's one of those same cases with Volkswagen, diesel emissions, slap on the hand, you get a fine. Same with Tesco and the horse meat. You have these things. Every business will have bumps along the road, right? It's how you handle it and how you stand up. You stiffen your bottom lip, do you tie up and just get on with the problem, deal with it at hand, right? You've got to be a businessman. You've got to step up and say, okay, cool, you step into us and you want to sue us or whatnot. We'll see you in court, guys. We're not backing down to this. They're a massive, Ripple are huge. They're a big old company, right? And for them to say, yeah, we'll see you in court, someone like the SEC is brave. And when it comes to the fact, I think best case scenario, the SEC will come out of this is a fine, or maybe some sort of they'll pause all sort of transaction circulation, blah blah blah, for maybe as long as they can. But again, as soon as that goes back into play, we'll see a boom in it because people are like, Ripple's back on the market, here we go. And my stance on it is, just like any other major firm that's out there, they all get a slap on the hand at some point, because no human or no company is perfect. You will never do anything 100% accurate, and mistakes happen basically. So although you can argue about the horse meat is not a mistake, but mistakes happen. So I think this will end up being a fine. This will end up being one of those things we look back on and laugh, because it was a chance for us to accumulate. And opposite to ads, when I believe you buy in the face of fear and you sell in the face of greed. As everyone else has stepped back and stopped buying, I've stocked up. I've been piling money into it. So, I'm holding buys from like 0.25, 0.28. I was with ads. I've even bought at 0.45, and I'll admit that on the spot, because 2 years from now, when anyone watching this, I'll go fair buy. And I will stand here and say, like, this is an undervalued coin, in my opinion. Now, I don't hold many other cryptos. I'll only look at the majors. And for me, XRP, the minute one big sort of bank or institution steps forward and says, do you know what, we're going to sample or even try XRP, boom, there's the catalyst. Now, once one person in that industry is sampling it, all their competitors start to look at it like, okay, well, are we behind the game? Are we not in the game because we're not sampling it too? What if that becomes the new thing and we're not involved? Things like this. And all of a sudden traction happens. And it's the same with Tesla now, and they're accepting Bitcoin. All these other electric car companies, guaranteed they start accepting it. And the way to look at this is you have to, again, step up and take some risks in life. And I will always buy in the face of fear. And right now, everyone, you look at Twitter, everyone's going, oh my God, I'm selling all my XRP, I was going to zero. Oh, the SEC are going to stamp all over them. Trust me, they will go down, or they will not go down without a big old fight here. And, it might be 1 week in court, it might be 10 months, it might be 2 years, right? But again, this was just an accumulation phase for it. And I truly believe it is very fundamentally undervalued for the advanced technology that they hold, for the investments that they've put into this coin, and how they've prepared it to be used globally. It's phenomenal. Why wouldn't people accept this as a asset? It's saving so much transaction fees. It speeds up business by, you can send mass amounts of money in seconds, whereas now it's like 3 to 5 business days for it to get confirmed, for it's 2 sides to sign off and things like this. This makes life for businesses so much easier, and it makes, again, just the world a more digital, faster, efficient, and compliant too place, because like Ad said, it reduces the needs for accountants and things like this. So for me, I will buy in the face of fear. Call me crazy, I'll take it on the chin. I'm a buyer of XRP. I'm a bull, and let's see it go. Let's see it pop.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you there as well. And I don't know why they're deciding to pick on XRP, for instance, when XRP is there to help the banking system, become even better and more efficient, and faster. Whereas Bitcoin is there to go against the banking system. So why have they not picked on Bitcoin? But we all know the answer to that is because nobody knows who Satoshi actually is, and he's keeping quiet behind the scenes. That may not even be his real name. There's multiple suspects who Satoshi could be, but they cannot pinpoint their finger on one single person. Plus, it's not just Satoshi that helps build the whole Bitcoin network. It's not, oops, sorry about that, my camera slipped. But it's not just Satoshi that builds the Bitcoin network. It is all the users and miners that contribute towards the Bitcoin network as well. So now they can't just pinpoint one person when it comes to the Bitcoin network. Whereas with XRP, because it is a company and it is let's just say a centralized platform rather than a decentralized platform, they can actually go and start picking on somebody and start pulling out flaws in their system, regardless of how good their intentions are to go out there and help the banking system rather than go against it. They're still looking. Remember, at the end of the day, SEC and every business out there need to make money. So they're going to try and find their best way and interest to pick on something to charge and to make money from. Otherwise, do you think they would waste their time looking through books, looking for negatives, when psychologically that is very, very draining, unless you're being paid for it? And don't you agree with that as well?
Massively agree with that. And what you got to think is, there's two things I want sort of viewers and listeners to sort of sit down and have a deep old think about this, right? The first thing is, when it comes to XRP, let's just say you're the CEO of Ripple, and you've got this.
I wish.
I wish. Yeah, me too. I really wish. And you're sat there and you've pumped billions into this, right? This is your business. It's your baby. You've put decades into this, right? And SEC stepped forward and say, that's it, we're going to close you down. As if you're going to sit there, not fight, and you're just going to accept defeat. Okay, that's the first thing I want you to think about. Second thing I want you to think about is when the SEC stepped forward and all this sell off and whatnot. And as Warren Buffett says, if you actually take the price of this asset out of the equation and look at it as a product or what it offers or as a service and how much has been inwards invested on it and the infrastructure, the figures they're turning over, the actual company, you're not buying into the coin or into the asset. You're buying into the actual company, what they provide, the service, and their true value. Now, if you really believe their true value is 33 pence per XRP, then don't buy it. Don't buy it, guys. Sit on your hands and don't buy it. And the other thing I want you to think about is the one thing that everybody, myself included, but you have to psychologically train yourself to get over this. The one thing everybody in this world fears is change. That's the one thing everybody fears. Why? It's long-winded. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. You've got to reshuffle things around. A lot of infrastructure changes. There's got to be a lot of people that have to spend a lot of money to change their infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the SEC are going, we can't be arsed with this XRP, for example. They're going, this could be revolutionary. There's going to be a lot of change coming into the banking sector. The banking sector yields economies billions annually worldwide. This could be actually disruptive. So let's just hush this down, put it to bed. We fear change, old-fashioned, et cetera, et cetera. We can't be asked. Fuck it, right? Whereas XRP are going, no. We're of value to you. We want to help you. We're an actual asset to you. Why don't you give us a chance? Why don't you let us show you what we can do? You haven't even sampled us. Just like Tesla are stepping forward and sampling Bitcoin. They've actually stepped forward and taken a leap with Bitcoin. The minute things like this start happening with XRP, people are going to be mind blown because it was tarnished with the SEC. Now, it's just because it's tarnished and there's a lot of fear behind this product or this asset, this coin, whatever you want to call it, doesn't mean you shouldn't lose belief in it. The amount of times there's been companies that have nearly gone under because people don't believe in it and now they're on top and they're smashing it. Things like even Amazon. Jeff Bezos got bailed out, 250 grand by his parents. People didn't believe that Amazon selling books online was ever going to become anything. If the SEC, for example, stepped forward and had to go at them for some reason, people would be going, written off, Amazon, written off, Yeah. So, you need to look at it from an actual value stance and act as if you're the CEO in your head. And in the book, Intelligent Investor, it says this, always think like you're the CEO. Always think like you own that company, you're in that company. What would you do? What benefits do you provide? What's your downsides, or what's your issues? What's the problems that you need to resolve? Can you get around those? Can you fix them? Are you going to become a stronger company decade on decade sort of thing? And what you need to understand, or what I think people really need to look into, is the actual business at hand we have and the value per coin. Now, those two don't go together. They just don't. 33p a coin, we've got Bitcoin at like for 30 grand a bloody coin, right? But arguably both as valuable as each other in the service and product they provide. So why is there a lack of belief in it? Just because there's a speed bump coming. So I'll reinforce my opinion: buy in the face of fear.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And there are some platforms we can still buy on. Two that I know as well, and for you viewers who are still looking to buy, Revolut is one of them, and crypto.com is another coin as well. Sorry, not another coin, another platform that you can actually buy and still sell some XRPs on. Other places, if you guys, still want to sell and are caught up, what you can do is find XRP BTC. Exchange your XRPs into Bitcoin, and then that Bitcoin, you can exchange it into your fiat currency, for example, Great British Pound, US dollar, or euros. So it's very simple. Even if you're currently holding XRP and you don't want to hold it any longer, should I say, that is the best way to go. And especially if it's not on those two platforms, the easiest way is to convert it to Bitcoin and then to convert it to fiat. But I don't know why you would want to do that, especially after listening to Drew's advice as well. Buy in the face of fear. Plus, XRP are not a small company or crypto. They've spent billions developing, and they're not going to go down without a fight. Any kind of let's say small thing that the SEC picks at, they will always have a counter. And if they are 100% wrong in that section, they will make sure they go change it and then put in a new application to be re-audited. But moving forward, and this is our final topic as well, and this is where the main man, Mr. Mark, shines. So a lot of people have been asking, and this is actually thrown in by a viewer as well. As we all know, Mark is very, very, very strong in terms of data analysis, fundamental analysis. So the best person to ask this question would be Mr. Mark. So obviously, recently we have had a change in terms of the British pound interest rates. And it has been towards the negative sector. So I'll let Mark expand and explain what that means and how that will affect our economy in a positive and negative way as well.
So obviously, the BOE, they haven't actually changed it to negative interest rates, but they've basically been telling like commercial banks to prepare and like develop their infrastructure for the negative interest rates that might be coming. I'm pretty sure it will be. If it is going to happen, it's probably going to be Q3 this year, Q4, because that's when they roughly told the banks to prepare it. So obviously it'll be Q3, Q4 time. What that essentially means, because obviously the interest rates at the moment, I think is like 0.1, or it's 0.25. It's either one of them ones.
I think it's currently 0.1.
0.1. Well, that essentially is if it goes to negative, right? What you got to think about is what is driving the current like bull run for the pound at the moment, or its like strength over the past couple of months, is what BOE said about there would be no chance of negative interest rates. And obviously the vaccine as well, which is also helping that, like the bull run I put in quotations. They told like everybody there would be no chance. And that gives like investors and traders this mindset of, okay, maybe the UK is recovering at maybe not as a fast rate, but at a rate that's comfortable. If they're saying that negative interest rates aren't in the horizon, then that gives you a kind of positive outlook that maybe the UK is performing pretty decently. But now they've suddenly switched up. I said to banks, to commercials like Barclays and HSBC, you need to prepare now for negative interest rates. This is going to be bad. So it's going to be bad short term, because you've got to remember that interest rates, it isn't a like direct thing that this is happening and you got to think long term. It predicts stuff that's going to happen in the future. So this negative interest rate is going to be bad short term. So because obviously when there's negative rates and all this stuff, it's kind of giving you an indication that like inflation isn't at where it should be. And obviously, as you already know, CPI and PPI, or inflation, is telling you what's happening currently. It's not predicting what's happening in the future, not in the past. It's what is the currency or the current situation in the country like right now at the time of release. It's like today, the US released their CPI data and it was negative, and that was kind of predictable based on NFP, like because obviously NFP, the employment was bad, people aren't spending, and that kind of drives down inflation, doesn't it? Because more people spend, the higher the inflation rises. So the rates are trying to push out inflation, and that will give me the indication that, well, if the BOE has said prepare, then the inflation isn't rising, and that's going to be negative. So it's going to be negative short term, but then obviously the negative rates like push up inflation eventually. So for long term, pound should be up. But in terms of like the next year, I don't see any type of recovery in the longs anyway. But you have to adapt to the markets, and they could have negative interest rates for 2 quarters, and then Q3, Q4 of whatever 2022 could be all positive. It doesn't mean the UK then is in a positive stance. So that's the thing with fundamentals, is you have to kind of look at the situation of the economy at the time, because yes, the interest rates might be rising, but now they might plateau and you're still continuing to buy. So you have to constantly think, but negative interest rates is very, very bad, especially when they said there would be no chance. I'm not sure what obviously Drew said, but it's basically, or I'm not sure what Drew thinks, but they're just trying to increase that inflation. And when they say it's bad and it's negative, it gives you that indication that GDP might not be rising as quickly as it should be, inflation, and everything else like that. So what do you think, Drew?
Yeah, I'm exact same stance as Mark on this. It's a terrible thing economically, where the sweet spot is, 2% inflation, things like this. We're nowhere near it. We're nowhere near it. The likes of New Zealand, like 1.4, for example, year on year, things like this. Economies are performing at an astonishing rate. We're nowhere near their GDP and things like this. We are underperforming as an economy that is respected globally. That being said, why is the pound rising so much? Now, for me, this is a sort of positioning of the pound ready for the sharks to come in and the whales to come in, to really optimize on a cheap area to buy cross currencies against the pound. So, for example, the pound yen rising and things like this. We'll take pound yen as an example. That has no fundamental, except for the only thing, the vaccines and the vaccination and blah, blah, blah in the UK. Other than that, it's we've spoken about this 2 episodes ago. It's mind blowing that the rate that the pound is rising against the yen. Now, from a speculative stance, people will look at this and go, okay, more vaccines means that the economy will regenerate quicker, from a stance that it will reopen quicker, which means the GDP will increase or tick up quicker than any other economy, because everyone else will be shut. Like the Eurozone haven't got much vaccines going on, blah, 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 blah. We'll have more inward investment because we're selling vaccines globally and things like this. So from a speculative stance, people are seeing A, more inward investment to the UK economy, B, they're seeing that the economy will open up quicker, which means we'll have more circulation and spending within the economy, which means we'll get back on our feet quicker. That's why we see the pound rising. But fundamentally and data stance, when you look at the actual value of the Great British Pound from a, interest rate, inflation, blah, 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 we shouldn't be rising against these currencies as we are. So this is purely a risk-on outlook from investors at the minute. That being said, when that settles and the market prices this into factors, we will see a big move off the pound and a big dump of pound, in my opinion, against things like the yen. And although we're seeing some yen weakness, when you look at the actual fundamentals of it and things like this, I believe that the pound, the way it's rising at the minute, is a bit questionable for its actual value. And I think it'll be very, very interesting to see the plays over Q2 and Q3 with regards to the pound. I mean, at the minute, it's very speculative. It's that forward thinking of, okay, the economy opening up, the vaccines, more vaccines being sold globally, et cetera, et cetera. But if you took all this out of it, take COVID out of the equation, with us going into negative interest rates and stuff like that, is the pound a good investment? Is it a buy? Is it a significant undervalued currency? No, it's not. And for me, it's overvalued at the minute, and we're an underperforming, shambolic economy.
Yeah, 100%. And I totally agree with you there as well. There's two advantages. In fact, I'll give you the advantage and disadvantage of negative interest rates in the first place, or positive interest rates. So, you guys can, you viewers can take it away and see it from a different aspect. See yourself as a very, very big investor. Now, if I put myself in a very big investor's shoes, would I want to invest in a country or into a country's economy that is not giving me more than what they should be giving me in terms of investment? So currently our interest rates are 0.1%, which is very low. I personally would rather, if I had billions sitting in the bank, would rather put that money into an economy that has like a 0.25% interest rate, for instance. Yeah. And I believe we did have that at one point a couple of years ago before the whole COVID crisis hit as well. And then we dropped ours to 0.1. So see yourself as an investor. Yeah. It will scare away the big investors and the big, the 1% or 1 to 4% of this UK's economy, is based on multi-millionaires and billionaires. Yeah. Now, those people would not want to keep their money in the UK banks anymore, but it does benefit very small businesses and people who want lending loans, for instance. Yeah. So if you want to take out a mortgage, you would not be paying any interest on your mortgage. Yeah. In fact, you'll be paying a lot less back. So that is a benefit of that, for instance. But, if you're seeing yourself as a big investor, which pretty much those kinds of people run this country and this country's economy, you would be thinking twice about a drop in interest rates. You would rather put your money into a country which is giving you more for your money than less for your money, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It's crazy you mentioned this. I know a few of my students, they watch this podcast, of course, and I used that exact same example, a bit different though. I said, look, let's look at it like this. You're a business owner, a CEO of a multi-billion-pound firm, and you're set up in the Eurozone, you're set up in the US, you're set up in Canada, New Zealand, and the UK, right? So New Zealand are at 0.25 interest rate at the minute, right? And we're at 0.1, we're going into negatives, right? What are you going to do with the 3 billion you're looking to invest into your company? Are you going to invest into the UK, knowing that the money you make and you churn that gets put into your UK business account is going to be devaluing? Or are you going to invest that 3 billion into an economy where you know that your profits and the money you make will be put into that economy's bank account with positive interest rates that will gain you money? Now, if both were performing equally, you've got a company in the UK and a company in New Zealand, and they're both revenuing 4 billion a year, right? And you've got 3 billion to play with, and you're looking to build that one company, build that sector of the company up in which economy you're going to invest in. You're going to go in the one that once you make the profits out of that investment, you're going to hold in an economy in a bank account that will appreciate, rather than hold it in a bank account that's going to depreciate. Because they're charging you to keep your money there. Whereas here, they're giving you money to keep your money here. So what are you going to do with that money? You're going to put it somewhere where you're going to get the exact same profits, but you're going to keep it somewhere that you're going to get an actual appreciation out of it, rather than depreciate your capital or your potential profits, So that's exactly how Ad said. You've got to think of how the big guys are thinking of it. And the big guys are the ones that move the market. We all know this. Institutions, big companies. And, for example, if we heard that the top 10 performing businesses in the UK withdraw investment in, or sort of big brands that are in the UK withdraw inwards investment to the UK, and they place it in the New Zealand economy, what do you think is going to happen to the New Zealand dollar out of speculation? It'll bull run, or it will have more sort of optimism towards it. And Ads has nailed that from the aspect of think from a long-term stance. And if you are accumulating capital in both bank accounts, the UK and elsewhere, which one's going to pay you more of a yield and look after you long-term? Because everyone wants to be risk averse. Everyone wants to be in the best position they can be. And holding your capital in a UK stance isn't the best play if it for going negative interest rates. And that's why seeing the pound rise at the minute doesn't make sense. It's positioning itself for a sell-off, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree there as well. Like I mentioned just before we were recording as well, I personally don't believe that the pound is worth against the Japanese yen right now about 145. Yeah, I personally think, it should be worth a little less. But then again, we are having Our data has been pretty, I'd say, not very positive, but some positive as well at the same time. However, the vaccine help has pushed the value up. But still, how long is that going to be pushed up for? Yeah, it's a vaccine at the end of the day. And, everything doesn't revolve around a vaccine. Everything comes back down. The whole Forex markets, in fact, the value of each currency still comes back down to interest rates at the end of the day. Interest rates pretty much runs the whole valuation of an economy is what I strongly believe anyway, and it's what I've been taught to believe. And like I said, if you bring it back to the simple terms of where would you rather put your money? Yeah, if Drew was offering me, let's say I gave him a tenner and he was giving me £11 back, I would rather let him hold my money to accumulate more £1. Whereas if I gave my money to Mark and he was like, I'll hold your money for you, but I'm going to give you £9 back, I would be like, get that. Let me just give it to Drew and I'll make more on it. Yeah, it's as simple as that. Where are you going to put your money? If you're a large investor, would you rather put it in a place where it's negative, or would you rather put it in a place that's positive? It's common sense. Everyone wants to grow their money, including large investors, including large banks. The only people it does benefit is small and medium businesses who are going to lend, and obviously mortgages. So it'll help boost house prices as well. And that could slightly help things out a bit. But then remember, it can't boost house prices too much, because all these house prices are only going to be going up based on lending, not actual freehold buying.
Yeah. I mean, something to also add on to that. You're actually funny you mentioned that. Or the banking, like putting your money in. For people doing their research, it's called hot money. So when hot money flows into a country, it's good. So like with positive interest rates and the hot money flows out and into another country, it is bad for the money coming out. But one thing to note, so we'll attach it to like the Forex market. There's something called IR diffs, so interest rate differentials. What that essentially means is, let's say, I know the IR diffs for Australia against the dollar is positive. So that what that's saying is when you're long AUD/USD, you're getting paid back. I can't remember what's the term's called when you have to pay out.
Come on, Mr. Mark. Come on, Mr. Mark. You're Mr. Data. Come on.
Give me 2 secs. I know exactly. I can't remember the word. Do you know, Drew? When you hold it overnight.
Not taking you out of this.
When you hold it overnight. Oh God, I can't remember the name.
Swap fees.
Swap, yes. Swap.
Boom! I knew it. I didn't want to bail you.
Yes. So
grabbed you out of the water.
Okay, now that you've said swaps, it's carry and rollover. So I know it's positive for the Australian dollar against the US dollar. So that's why when you're long the currency, you're getting paid back the spreads. And if you're short, you're not getting paid back spreads. You're getting paid back swaps. Sorry. If you're short, you're paying out. Okay, so when those interest rates goes negative for the UK, the IR diffs will become negative. So that means institutions like Goldman and JP Morgan want to be shorting the pound because they'll get paid. They'll get paid the swaps.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry to interrupt you, Mark, but just from a retailer stance there, imagine if I said to you, take a short position, you'll accumulate profit, and I'll pay you to accumulate that profit from a brokerage stance. Pay you to hold that position, and the longer you hold those shorts, the more I'll pay you, and also the more profit you'll accumulate. Imagine someone that's stepping in and putting in like a billion position short on an economy or on a currency. This is why we're saying, fuck me, why is the pound at such a strong level? Yeah. Take COVID out the equation and the discussion of negative interest rates, we would have seen a massive sell-off by now.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, definitely. And Mark, I hope you pay us as well for helping you out there.
I mean, of course, man.
But yeah, it does go both ways. There are positives of it. There are negatives of it. I personally believe the pound is way too high, but there obviously must be a reason for it. The minute, the interest rates changes, I think that's going to definitely change ASAP. Yeah, very quickly. The value of the pound is definitely going to drop. All down to, it's common sense at the end of the day. Like I said, where would you rather put your money? Yeah.
Yeah. And I believe I believe a lot of retailers will get caught out, and this is a heads up for anyone sort of watching this and how you'll position yourself. I'm not calling you a retailer by any means of stretch, but don't get sucked into the minute we do find out that, right, negative interest rates, don't just sell the pound on the spot, because we will see a spike. We'll see some sort of I'll loosely use the term manipulation, but like institutions and brokers and et cetera, they know the minute that term comes into play and the amount of sellers that will come into the market, they'll go, right, we're going to buy these, push this price up a bit more, scare everyone off, take out a few stops, then we'll let this roll over. So look at the higher timeframes, look at your monthly, weekly, daily, look at where the likelihood of price will sort of arrive to before a reversal, knowing that it's a very obvious sell. Now, obviously, we all know here, the direct opposite happens in any sort of expected situation in the markets. If it's, we buy in the face of sells and we sell in the face of buys, as banks would say. So, and institutions would say. So the minute it does be announced as negative, don't expect just a sudden 500 pip slip and drop in pound pairs. Expect maybe a 50, 60, 100 pip rally, maybe for 4 hours, maybe for a day. Don't be that guy that sells the minute the data is released. People get caught wrong-footed.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously that brings us up to the end of the episode. It has been a very, very good one. We did, end up going a little over time, but I don't mind. I actually enjoy, the longer the better, to be honest. But it's all about viewing time, and we have come up to the end of the episode. So I hope you all have enjoyed this episode. It has been really, really great, very interesting. In fact, heavily crypto-based, heavily fundamental-based. And once again, if you are looking to invest in crypto, go for it. Don't hold back. Take Drew's advice. If you're scared, that is where the most money is actually made. And other than that, we do want to thank you all for plugging in. If you enjoyed this, make sure you smash the like button. Drop in the comments box as well what you want us to discuss for next one on the next session as well. And we definitely hope to see you guys soon. Take care. Catch you guys on the next one.
See ya.
Okay, guys.